Administrator, just to follow up on my friend from Louisiana here. Look, you're an American citizen, shelter and services program, we get it, we agree. Look, not something I would vote for, but it happened, and you have the job of administering. But you're an American citizen, you see illegal foreign nationals receiving money in the tune of billions of dollars in this administration alone, while your own citizens in your own country for, dealing with an agency for which you work, and are being criticized right now because they're not getting the money. Have you requested a reprogramming of this money? I understand it's been thrown in your lap. I get it. Not something I agreed with, but it's in your lap. But you see it. Have you requested a reprogramming of the money?
This is funding, Chairman, that we were directed to administer by Congress. We are administering it at the direction of Congress.
And you have no interest in reprogramming it?
This is funding that was directed to us to administer.
I understand, but you're a citizen too. You're working here. So do you see this as a misalignment of priorities when you're asking for more money, maybe rightly so, asking for more personnel, knowing that millions, hundreds of millions, $1 billion sent to people here illegally, while people, the citizens of this country, for which the administration and the organization that you work is supposed to be there for them, aren't receiving that money? Do you have any interest in requesting a reprogramming of that funding?
This is funding that was given to CBP and directed by Congress to transfer to FEMA to administer the shelter and services.
Yes, ma'am. I understand that, and I guess I get your answer. I would just say this in support of this organization called the Cajun Navy. People are frustrated and upset with FEMA's response, maybe rightly so, maybe not rightly so. But it seems to me that this nonprofit known as the Cajun Navy can get in the game immediately, make changes on the fly that impact people's lives. They don't have to go through a bunch of red tape and cry, we don't have people, we don't have money. They get people and equipment to the site on time and make a difference. And quite honestly, that's what FEMA should be doing. So maybe FEMA should go talk to the Cajun Navy and say, why can't we do what you're doing? What do we got to change here to do that? And with that, I yield, and I now recognize the gentleman from California, Representative Garamendi.
No, Mr. Chairman, I'm not going to take the bait. I think she identified the problem, however. It's us. If you have a problem with what the CBP is doing and transferring their responsibility to FEMA, well, why don't you write the bill? Now, let me move on to what I really want to get to here. Yes, there is a shortfall of funding. I think it's been discussed multiple times here. In that funding program, or the shortfall, there is a question about unpaid obligations. We've heard about 20 years ago with Katrina, but there are some that are much more recent. Specifically, the COVID response in 21, 22. There was a federal program authorized in the American Rescue Plan that hospitals and other agencies were directed to provide services, and FEMA programs would reimburse them. You've made good effort on reimbursing them as far as the money would go. Still about 40% of the money, specifically to hospitals in California and other states, have yet to be paid. In the supplemental that you're requesting, do you intend to use some of that supplemental money to pay for those obligations that were incurred by public agencies, hospitals specifically, so that they would be reimbursed? You're at 60%, there's another 40% to go.
Congressman, part of our supplemental request does include the anticipated cost to reimburse jurisdictions, hospitals, and other eligible entities for the costs that they incurred through COVID-19. For the hospitals specifically, we are undergoing an extensive review with a third party to make sure that we're not duplicating funding that they already received. We feel that this is an important step to ensure that we're using the taxpayer dollars to support the actual needs and not duplicating payments that they may have received from other sources or from insurance, et cetera. And so both of those will work in unison as we continue to review the submissions from hospitals. We validate that the costs have not been paid by another source. This supplemental request will include then reimbursing those jurisdictions, those hospitals, those entities for those costs.
I really like your yes, but answer. Normally, we don't like the but part, but I'm pleased to hear that the FEMA is auditing and also very carefully looking into these payments. I'm confident that you won't find a problem in California. I say that with certainty. However, nonetheless, it's important that you do the audits and that you make sure that, and it applies to other programs also, some of those that may date back 20 years or more. So thank you for doing that. I will note that the California Hospital Association believes that there's $1.3 billion that would be appropriately owed to California. However, check to be sure. Moving on, there are other issues that are also in play, some of which are really important in small communities. And I want to thank you for a change that you've made in your policies of prior funding for very small projects for across mostly small communities, some urban, some rural. I believe it's at a $1 million level. That might have enough money to get a large culvert repaired. I would ask you to take a look at that, and probably better to add a zero. And once again, the but part of your answer, really important here. So if you're going to put money out ahead of the normal process of reimbursement, good. It's necessary. The many small communities, counties, cities simply cannot front the money for 3-4 years before they get reimbursed. However, $1 million is a good step. Add a zero, and you're probably at a level that would allow those communities to get their projects underway. I want to thank you for your courage. I want to thank you for your standing tall and honest about the incredible pressure that you've received from the 2 recent hurricanes and from those that have, and other disasters that have been declared. You have an incredibly difficult job, and you are leading in a way that is exemplary. With that, I yield back. Oh, by the way, I got 11 seconds. Mr. Chairman, if we got a problem with illegals getting money, I look forward to your bill.
You might see it there, Mr. Garamendi. The